The jailhouse phone calls between Alec Murdaugh and his son Buster unlayer a whole new level, a whole new look at the entitlement and the thought process that goes on in this family, and we're going to talk about a few of those clips now. Hello everybody and welcome back to the sofa. The sofa's back there with our trusty sidekick, Mr. Roscoe, holding it down. And today we are going to continue our discussion about the Alec Murdaugh case/trial. And specifically for this video, we're going to be talking about some of those jailhouse phone calls. Now, on the live chat that I did the other day, everybody's like, you have to listen to the tape, you have to listen to the tape. So I went around and found some. The ones we're going to review today are from some news resources I found online. I'll put the links down below. But also there's a podcast that, and I'll put the link to the podcast, in depth, the best resource you're going to find if you want to get into every nook and cranny of this case. Well, they got the major tea on all of these phone calls in the very beginning. So I'll put a link down there if you want to go and listen to all that and get like all up in it. There's literally, I think, like 121 that were released. It's very telling, and specifically what we're going to do here in this video is we're going to use some of the clips that I found from news resources to make that like a discussion jumping point kind of a thing. Because what I found listening to this was insight into, number one, Alec and his just, what? I'm in trouble kind of an attitude, but also this level of like the relationship between he and Buster. And some of it is why I think that Buster is the one who's still alive and Paul isn't. And also just kind of Buster seemingly to also have this level of, we did something wrong. Okay, well, darn, that kind of a thing. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump on into it.
I know that every single phone call I make, they're keeping it indexed, and people are listening to it. Probably multiple people.
Now, the reason I put that in there and wanted to start off with that is because it is interesting that Alec acknowledges this, but yet some of the stuff that he'll talk about in the phone calls, I'm kind of like, ooh, probably wouldn't have had that conversation.
I mean, I put so much on you.
It's all right.
I mean, you say that, but it's not okay. I just wish there was something I could do about it now.
Now you're listening to him talk to his son Buster, and obviously it is what it is. He's saying, I put so much on you. And again, with Buster, it's okay. Of course, that's what he's going to say. I mean, what else are you going to say? You're going to go off on your dad who's in jail? Probably not, right? Now we saw Buster's behavior on the stand, which was very kind of monotone, and I feel like that's most of what we see or hear, at least from these phone calls as well. Now also with Alec, the whole thing of, I wish there was something I can do now, and that type thing, and I'm like, yeah, you should have thought about this probably years ago, right? It's too late.
This case against you is really, really next to nothing. The boat case, civil case against you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I knew that from the beginning. It's just they just play all these games, and I'm getting real tired of it.
No, I don't blame you.
But there'll come a day.
You know what? You're right. Karma's a haunting words to hear come out of Alex's mouth. Karma's what. Now you're hearing him again talk to Buster. They're talking about the civil case against Buster because, again, we're just going to slap the words alleged here and whatnot on this because I didn't even know what's happened with all those cases. But he gave Paul, his brother, his now past brother, his ID to use to get beverages on the evening when this boat wreck happened that the young lady lost her life in. Now there's civil lawsuits out there. Now, my whole thing with this is I understand there's two sides to everything, right? So him sitting here talking like, oh gosh, like this is an annoyance to him. And well, this is just, they're going to try this and try that. And karma's, and and I'm just sitting here listening and I'm like, this girl lost her life, and again, I get you're going to have your own kind of private conversations, but it's like, number one, this is a jailhouse phone call. This is being recorded. And that just speaks to me even further of the, just the level of disconnect with reality of, I get this is your name, this is your money, this is your life. No matter what, you're going to want self-preservation, right? So whether right, wrong, or indifferent, they're going to want to, self-preserve. To the general public, to the, the naked eye, looked outside in eye kind of a thing. Not a cute look.
They told me the grand jury indicted a bunch more things on last Friday, but you know that's just overkill, right?
Yeah, I mean,
they're just trying to pile it on me now. You know that, right?
Yeah, I'm aware.
But I can take it.
Yeah, okay, so overkill is what happened to your son Paul. Overkill is the amount of money that you ripped off from already victimized people that put their trust in you to get them settlements, right? That's overkill. So the way he's sitting here talking like this is an annoyance, like they're just trying to pile stuff up. This is what they do. This is just run of the mill. And I'm just kind of like, I mean, my gosh. And I think that this just further states, like, because all along the way I've been like, surely he won't get on the stand, talking about Alex. Surely they wouldn't do this. And listening to some of these calls, I'm like, yeah, this is just, they are completely disconnected from reality. And again, what really comes out to me in these phone calls is listening to people who have probably had their problems fixed by money or connections and privilege, and they are not used to being told no. And even in the situation of, I am in jail, I'm facing all these charges, this, that, and the other, alleged to have taken the life of my son and wife, still in the face of that, it's, I can take it. This is just, this is just BS. They're just stacking these charges. I mean, I don't think it's just that. I think you actually just did what they've alleged that you've done, at least on the financial end of it, right?
A lot of thinking and, just about taking all these pills and how that all started. And, there's no doubt when I started taking them, I'll wait till I get out and tell you all this. There's things I remember now that, this just goes back 20 years.
Now, here's my thing that with conversations like this, and again, this awareness number one of, I'm going to wait till I get out, but he's talking about the pills and whatnot. This goes back 20 years, and this, that, and the other. And another thing that I've said all throughout this is the whole thing of, did he really have this addiction? We've seen, or heard at least, testimony of, okay, well, the mother, found this bag of pills and this and the other. There's evidence of this. But, now I'm questioning, well, was he trying to play that off to hide up, some kind of like trafficking ring instead? I mean, my gosh, you have to question this at this point, right? So listening to how he's talking to Buster in these phone calls, I do get a sense of closeness. I do get a sense of like fatherly son type vibes. And I don't have anything to compare it to, but I would love to know what a conversation between Alec and Paul sounded like. Because I just really feel like, in a sense, all the eggs are being put in the basket of Buster. And not just in the fact that he's the, sole surviving, heir, if you will, directly to Alec, but before all that went down, when decisions had to be made, and looking at who's a liability, who's not, who still has a chance, who doesn't, that kind of a thing. And so I think that's interesting to hear the dialogue that we'll hear in these phone calls between Alec and Buster.
On October 21st, 2021, Alec Murdaugh called his brother, John Marvin Murdaugh, and his son, Buster. They were on a trip to Nevada, now made notorious by this photo of John Marvin and Buster at a Las Vegas casino table. It ended up as an exhibit in court against Alec Murdaugh.
Now, I want to include some of these news clips in here, and it's going to segue into the next part of another phone call. But this became a huge thorn in Alex's side of, here's my brother and my son at a casino. They're taking pictures. Oh my gosh, they're misappropriating funds, this, that, and the other. And yeah, it's probably not a cute look to be seen at a casino during these times, especially when your father has been accused of, take away the Maggie Paul thing, just the financial crimes alone, and then you stack that on top of it. The Maggie and Paul situation. And this is the kind of stuff here that, I question, well, would anybody have the self-awareness, regardless of their privilege and that type thing, of all of a sudden you're this person who everyone's watching type situation, right? And you're living a normal life. I'm not sure. I don't know. I hope I'm never in the situation to find out personally. But let's listen to what he had to say about this. And by he, I mean Alex.
Alec called his family to warn them.
In court the other day, they made a big deal about things. They're going to be moving to try to prevent us from selling stuff.
Right.
We need to get as much as we can completed.
On the call, John Marvin suggests selling some of the farm equipment to pay off some of Alec's debts, but says it must be done on the up and up.
You might speak to Jim if you get a chance, just to find out what kind of time frame he thinks before they get any kind of order preventing us from doing anything.
Okay.
So again, here we are, he's calling from jail, still, swindling, still doing his thing. Oh my gosh, they're going to do this. Let's sell this to pay off this and again, it just goes to show, number one, where I'm like, oh yeah, these clients probably never stood a chance, let alone his law firm, let alone his own wife and children.
And I mean,
well, I'm just doing everything by the book, and
it's going on bank. It ain't like we're squirreling it away. It's going to pay bank stuff.
Well, it goes to the unsecured note, so everything else has something securing it. So it makes sense that unsecured items would go to an unsecured note.
2 days later, the wheels are already in motion to freeze Alec's assets by the state, money to pay back Alec's alleged fraud victims. Alec calls his son Buster.
Now, again, this is just what blows my mind. I'm like, it just seems like it's a game to him, right? Of, let's try and beat him out to do this, to get all this. And again, if it was something where there wasn't so much evidence of, dude, you ripped off people, and this wasn't just like somebody who was getting like a frivolous lawsuit. Like, these are people, the housekeeper who lost her life on the property. I mean, this is like stuff your family is directly linked to type situation, whether it's an accident, whatever, right? And to want to, not only you've stolen the money, but to prevent that, just it runs all over me, where I'm like, my God, I mean, just the lowest of the low.
It's October 23rd. Buster is still in Nevada with John Marvin.
New developments with the motions and everything, trying to get us to quit selling stuff. I don't know really what that's going to have in store.
Yeah, I told y'all that was coming.
Yeah, man, this Eric dude.
That I said that was coming?
No, I just saw it on Twitter.
No, I called John Marvin the other day to tell him he needed to do it as quickly as possible because they were going to be doing it any day, making a motion.
So this Eric Bland guy seems like a real charm.
Well, this is his 5 minutes in the sun,
Now, regardless of how Eric might be, this is the guy representing the family, the situation that went on with the housekeeper and the misappropriated or stolen funds and whatnot. And for him to say, oh, yeah, he seems like real charm. It's his 5 minutes in the sun. And I'm like, you stole money from their family. The connections are just mind-boggling, right? And so, again, listening to the way that he and Buster converse back and forth on this. And again, I go back to, I try and look at both sides where I'm like, look, 100%, I get it, you're in self-preservation mode. And I'm looking at one side where I'm like, okay, like, let's say Buster has no idea. He doesn't strike me as the type that would know the inner workings of like his father's stuff. It would just be like, Dad fixed this, or I got a check for this, or, that type stuff, right? So I'm sure this is a complete surprise to be like, oh, Dad's swindled half the town, right? And all this to be happening, obviously to his brothers and whatnot. So, with the brother, he might be like, look, dude, I mean, you're a sinking ship. I don't want to get caught up in this mess, right? I mean, there's so many people that he seems to try and pull down with him. So this interaction here, again, of it's like everyone's out to get us. It's his 5 minutes. It's going to be karma for them. I don't see any sense of, when there's all this going on out here, and I seem to be the common denominator of stopping and saying, am I the drama? Am I the problem?
Yeah, the law firm has dissolved, and they're reforming under a new name just because of all the negative publicity and all the stuff they're going through.
I hate having to go through all that.
Now, I wanted to include that clip because just hearing him, man, I really hate they're having to do that. I mean, what did you think they were going to have to do, right? I mean, my gosh. I mean, can you imagine that law firm is probably like, of course they're going to lose his name, right? But again, you see how far the tentacles of crime and corruption reach. I mean, my gosh, but again, just I hate they're having to do that. Bless their hearts, I mean, come on.
Buster, you need to get ready for this law school now, okay?
I understand.
I mean, you got to really buckle down, and you've got to treat it like a job. You're going to have to read these cases 2 and 3 times if you don't fully understand them. I mean, you're going to have to treat it like a job.
I understand.
You promise?
Yes.
Because you know there's not going to be another chance.
I know.
So the whole Buster thing, and one thing that I find so fascinating about this is the double-edged sword. Because on one hand, it's like you have your father's last name and literally it's like a mini-me of the father. And how much that would work to his favor until now. And now I'm thinking, now granted he ended up of course not going to enrolling in that semester or whatever, you know, allegedly got kicked out for plagiarism from the other law school. Drama, okay? So, but now I'm like, oh dude, there's no way. Like, absolutely. Like, you would have to change your last name. I mean, it ain't a good idea, right? I mean, because this name is tarnished, right? I mean, this guy has ruined the family name. I mean, 100%. And I'm not trying to say that maybe other members of the family throughout the generations weren't doing scandalous stuff, because I don't think that he arrived, meaning Alec, at this level of corruption just on his own, you know, like entitlement. But nonetheless, with Buster, I'm like, yeah, I personally would be looking into a different career, possible name change.
Hey. Sorry to bug you again real quick. Hey, where's Lyric?
She's back at the house, which I just left.
Okay. How about call her and tell her I'm trying to get her?
Okay, what do you need from her?
I need her to put some money on a canteen.
All right.
Actually, you know what? I'll call her again. I called her twice.
No.
What?
I can shoot her a buzz. I just got to do it while I'm right here at the Exxon, because if I go any further, I'm not going to have any service.
Well, there's a guy who doesn't get canteen, and canteen is the commerce.
I know what it is.
You know, I mean, it's the commerce, it's the trade, and it really helped me last week when she put it on that Lucas's account. I want her to do that one more time.
Okay, it's just outside looking in looks a little weird.
What do you mean?
It just looks a little weird.
I mean, my God, does that not sum up this whole case? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? I mean, come on, right? This is just like, dude, are you insane? Like, the whole world is watching you, and you want to put some canteen on Lucas's account? I'm sure he owes well, we'll hear about his gambling stuff. Also, doesn't Alex seem just right at home in there? Like, just right at home. Very comfortable. Oh, with a canteen. You know what the canteen is, son. I know what it is, Diddy. You know, it did me real good. I'm like, well, I bet it did. He was probably gambling on stuff in there. I mean, it's just, you know, and like that level of like, you're already at that thing of like putting money on this kid's books and probably giving him something to get it. I mean, I'm like, dude, you know, come on. I mean, it's like, it's just because he's in jail don't mean he's changed, okay? He's probably swindled who knows who out of what in there.
Hey, I hit 9 out of 11 games on Sunday on the pro games.
Well,
I missed the Eagles and I missed the Steelers. The Eagles were 3.5-point favorites over the Giants, and they lost. And the Steelers were 4.5-point underdogs to the Bengals, and they lost by 20. But I hit 9 out of 11. That's pretty damn hard. I won like 6 soups, 4 beef sticks, a bunch of crackers, cookies, you know, a bunch of canteen shit.
Well, that's good.
There was like 13 of us playing. Everybody put in something, you know.
Right.
I won 13 things. So.
I mean, he is excited about that. He's like, son, do you hear me? I got some damn beef sticks and honey buns. You want to know what I've been trading them honey buns for? Yeah, boy. I'm just like, my God, right at home. Right at home, right? I'm just like, oh my God. This is why he wants to put money on Lucas's canteen account. This is what he's doing in there. I mean, granted, he's bored. I get it, right? I mean, he's only facing the trial of the damn century, you know, but it's just like these vices that he seems to have. I'm just like, I mean, they don't go away because you're just in jail, right? So it's like something for him to do. And you can just, to me, at times you can hear the people he's talking to where they're like, you know, dad, you know, or brother or whatever, you know, it's like, this is not going to end well, is it? You know what I'm saying? They can just tell. Like, the tunnel is going to get darker before it gets light, right?
All right, get a good night's sleep. Did you get back from the D? No, I was checking my email all day today. I emailed him beginning of this week, and I haven't heard back. I emailed him and
Hold on. You did what?
I emailed him and I CC'd the associate dean, and I haven't heard back yet.
Okay, if you don't hear today, this is Monday. You did it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Tomorrow, you might just shoot a follow-up. Tomorrow.
And if I don't hear from him, I might get in touch with Butch to see if you can call him and say that I've been trying to get in touch with him.
All right.
Is Butch paid all the money that he was owed?
Yes.
Okay.
Up front, and it was up front, and it was $30,000 up front and 30.
I know with a contingency on if it was successful. I'm just making sure. I don't want to call him if he not have the shit he has. It was supposed to have.
Nah, he knows he's totally paid.
I mean, would he be willing to do something like that, you think?
Absolutely. But I would do it yourself first. I'd just say, hey, just following up.
I mean, just trying to make sure that good old boy system's still working and squeaky clean. But he's like, I mean, at this point, he's like, is he paid up? I am straight up asking you multiple times, Dad. I need to know the truth, okay? Like, you've got to ask at this point, right? So here's my thing. Again, overall with these phone calls, I think it's a glance into not only the relationship between Alec and Buster, but their relationship with the spaces around them, the world around them, the people around them. And this level of maneuvering around of just this kind of cluelessness. And I would almost venture to say more so on Alex's side than Buster's side. I mean, at times you hear other people kind of reminding Alex of, hello, maybe not such a good idea. But this constant maneuvering, trying to out-check or out-chess the game that's going on. And essentially that's what it all comes down to, is it feels like a game. It feels not authentic. It feels like there's this lack of awareness of the severity of the situation. And it makes me wonder if that has still set in. Now, at the time of this recording, this is a day after Buster was on the stand. And Buster, seemed to be very just, non-emotional, not much going on there. And I don't hold that against him. I mean, again, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I don't know how I would react on the stand myself. But hearing how he speaks in these videos and these clips, it's very much how I seem to interpret his behavior on the stand as well. So again, I think that this trial, the details we're seeing, these little clips we've listened to, they just go to show this other part of life that some of us have glanced into. And I'm not talking about so much about the money and stuff like that, but just this absolute entitlement, this absolute unawareness of others and complete awareness of self, right? And I feel like, again, we can just see it shining through, where there's just been a lot of unaccountability throughout life and things being fixed and things being handed to. And that's why when something like this takes place, whatever it is, there's this desperation, acts done in desperation, and then this level of, well, isn't this going to go away? Isn't this going to be fixed? Well, I'm going home soon. Well, why would that be weird that I would do that? That kind of thing is not real to them, because life probably was never really real to them. And especially for Alex, who's been allegedly strung out on whatever for decades and ripping his family, his friends, and his clients, the town, everyone off to the extent that he has. Now, if you're still watching, drop some hearts in the comment section for the victims, all the victims, both financial and the ones that have lost their lives, to the family, as well as to whoever allegedly did these crimes to Maggie and Paul. I appreciate you being here, and until the next time, I'll see you soon.